Okay, thanks everyone for coming this morning. I'd just like to start by obviously expressing on behalf of Motorsport Australia our sincere condolences to the family involved and also the motorsport community and in particular the Targa community. I think Mark mentioned yesterday that it's a really tight-knit community and it's a really difficult time for everyone at the moment, so we'd just like to express our sincere condolences to everyone involved.
How is everyone going this morning?
Look, I haven't seen the competitors this morning. Mark's seen the competitors this morning. My understanding is there's a feeling of solidarity, to be honest. I think everyone's obviously extremely upset about what's happened, but there's a real sense of community and togetherness.
What role will your organisation have in the investigation?
Look, we're still gathering the details, and in fact we know very little at the moment. So our priority at the moment is obviously the welfare of everyone that was involved and the Targa community, but then understanding the facts, and then from there we'll decide with various stakeholders what the next steps might be.
Do you have any idea about, I know you said there's not a lot of detail, do you have any idea how it happened?
Very sketchy details, to be honest. The car was only recovered late last night by the police. We'll work very closely with them on the circumstances of the incident. So it's really just too early to tell what's happened at the moment.
Has the rally safe device been retrieved?
No, the rally safe, my understanding is the rally safe device is still in the car. It's currently being impounded by the police, and we'll work with them over the coming days to sort through all of that data and try and get an understanding of what's happened.
What's your take on the safety that was put in place in the lead up to this year's event? Are you satisfied that everything that could be done was done?
Well, I think everyone's aware there was an investigatory tribunal that was undertaken after last year's event. There were 23 recommendations that were handed down. A lot of work went into making sure that this event was not only complying with those recommendations but was as safe as possible.
What do you think about the future of the event going forward? Do you think there is a future for Targa Tasmania?
Look, I certainly think there's a future for Targa Tasmania. We'll work with Mark, Targa Australia, his team and all the other stakeholders to see what Targa Tasmania might look like in the future. I think it's too early to say that there's no future for Targa. It might look different, but again, it's too early to speculate on that at the moment.
Do you think it could become a non-competitive event in its entirety?
Oh, that's certainly part of the thinking. That's a discussion we'll have with Mark. But again, I just think it's too early. Not knowing the circumstances of the incident, it's probably too early for us to comment with any certainty on that at the moment.
And last night they mentioned that the driver involved was quite experienced. Is that kind of across the board, or does there need to be a bit more comprehensive vetting of drivers, or are you happy with the kind of measures that are in place?
Yeah, we took steps together with Mark and his team to, I guess, ensure that those that are in the open competition had a level of experience that we were both comfortable with. It was also one of the recommendations from the tribunal. I don't know the exact background of the person involved, but I am aware that they do have some experience in the activity. So again, I'm not going to hypothesise on that at the moment.
Can we have a chat to Mark?
Sure.
What, you want to talk to me again?
Wait.
Yes. Where am I looking? You, Talia?
Yep. Okay. Mark, you spoke to the competitors this morning. How are they going?
Oh no, look, we're holding up. It was probably one of the most emotional things I've done in my life, to be honest. All the competitors were there at the Silverdome. We asked them to come along and gave them the option to go out today in the tour, and we got them all together and I had a bit of a chat with them, just what played out last night, where we're at now, what's happening today, and giving them the option to at least go out and enjoy their cars, which a lot have gone and actually done that. So we were quite pleased to see that, but it was again very galvanising for us as the Targa family, and a lot of support, and I'm holding together pretty good until people start hugging me. But it just shows that just so many people just love Targa, and we can't lose sight of that.
How many of the drivers didn't go out?
I'm actually not sure. At a guess, there was probably 60 cars still on the floor after everyone left, but I can confirm we've got about 320 cars out there today. Sorry, apologies for that. We've got 320 cars out there today, and the point in that is outside the anniversary events, we're normally only 250 cars. So, you know, from an economic return and all the great things that we often talk about with Targa Tasmania, that is all actually still happening today. We've turned down the tour as well, just to keep them even safer. But, you know, they're all going out to St Helens, having lunch and spending their money, and that's probably the upside today. The event has changed dramatically anyway, and people will actually see that firsthand today without any competition cars out there.
Have
Did
you
you
spoken?
consider scrapping the event for the rest of the week?
We definitely considered that, but in fairness to everybody in the tours who are just having a driving holiday, and this has been the big change with Targa over the years, is that they're having a driving holiday and they should be able to still drive around. We detuned it a little bit back to the posted speed limit so that anybody can drive on any day on our roads at those speeds. So it really took all the risk out of it to give us some time to analyse what's happened and look at the whole situation. It's just so early and raw, and unlike last year, this has happened so early in the event. So it's a different set of circumstances to last year. We were able to go straight into post-event analysis after last year. This year is just so different. And in fairness to all the people that are here literally for the holiday, you know, they had every right to continue their holiday, and we all agreed on that last night.
So if this was in a vacuum and, you know, hotel rooms weren't booked, competitors weren't here, roads weren't closed, would you still be continuing?
That's a good question. I think the tour groups would have continued whether we close the roads or not, to be honest. So, you know, you can't get on and off this island very easily when you're as big as us, and you know, heavily reliant on the Spirit of Tasmania and a whole range of things. And these people are on a holiday. Would they have been disappointed the roads not being closed? Of course they would have been. That's what they pay for. That's what makes it better than a touring holiday. There's no question that even at the speed limit, a closed road is much safer than an open one. There's no trucks or anything coming the other way. So it still would have been much safer to close the roads. We've got officials, 500 officials all over the island ready to close the roads. All the infrastructure's in place. Everything's booked. Would they have still gone out there today if we had actually cancelled the entire event? The big groups like the Porsches and that, of course they would have. They would have just driven the roads, and you know, they're on their way out to Strawn tomorrow, and they would have continued their holiday. But we're grateful to Motorsport Australia and everybody within our business that we're, you know, still enabled to close the roads for them and give them what they paid for, their full experience.
Are you in a position
to the man's wife this morning?
No, I haven't personally spoken to anybody in the family. You know, we've got a team of chaplains with the event, as Motorsport always does have, and it's really their role. You know, I have no expertise in the area of dealing with trauma or any of the things. We just, you know, to reiterate Michael and Motorsport Australia's words, we're all shattered, and you know, especially for their family and friends, we're devastated for them.
Are you in a position to release the name of the victim?
No, we're not. That will be the role of Tasmania Police. The family have requested again this morning that be withheld. They come from a very big family, and there's a lot of people there trying to get a hold of and doing all the right things. So we just ask you to bear with us on that. We'll continue to respect the family's wishes on releasing the names, but it will be Tasmania Police who will do that.
It looks like there was a cattle gate on the road. Could that have affected the crash? Have you had any?
I'm not going to speculate on any of that. We have no idea. It's quite a remote area, and again, very different to the accidents last year. You know, very remote. You know, excuse me, no spectators or no external vision like we had access to last year. It's just so different, as every crash is. It's no different to every day on our roads. I won't speculate on what caused it, how it came about, what they were doing in the lead up. The Rally Safe device for us will be key to that, but to get all the data out of that. The car, as most modern cars do, carries its own data carrying devices. Lotus will, you know, provide all that to the police, more so than us, but all that will be analysed. And the reason for the cancellation for the competition from our perspective is, until we know all that, we have to accept that we can't have cars racing until we understand all that data. And we knew last night that we won't have any of that until after this event's finished.
You touched on it last night, but tell us what you can about this driver. I understand he's been a reigning champ. That sounds like a very experienced person.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's as experienced as some others, but he's definitely not the least experienced. You know, I mean, he's a middle ground. You need to appreciate that in our world, most are what you would call, you know, they're not professional racing car drivers, and you know, outside the Grant Denyers and a few others, no one is. And but we've done extensive training and knowledge and all that stuff over the last year. And you know, as I said last night, the briefing they got this week was, as I've given this briefing for 15 years, and It's never been more extensive. We can stand here, hand on our heart, and say we've done absolutely everything we can over the last 12 months, and that's why we did cancel, because we need to analyse what's actually happened, because we're as shocked as everybody that after everything we have done, that this has still happened. And we need to understand that, and that's why we did make the call to cancel last night. It was a tough call to make, you know, and not everyone in the competitor base agrees with that call, but we have to understand what happened, and that won't happen between now and Sunday. So we have to just gather our thoughts, and we don't know what the future is. You can ask us all day today what the future looks like. We actually have no idea. What I can say, and what you can see out there today, is 300 cars having a good time at a Targa event. So just think about that. It's not necessarily the end, but what it looks like beyond here, we're months away from determining that.
But four deaths in the space of 2 years, it must put the future in doubt.
It definitely rattles the cage. Again, I said to you guys last night, I'll be as open and transparent as I can, and you know, if you give us some respect, we'll pay it back. And I can only be honest to say, you know, there's no doubt it brings it into doubt. We won't shy away from that, but we need to work through it, because what we don't know is what happened. We don't know what happened, and I would say if it was unrelated to the car or the safety or his training or any of that stuff, then that will change the conversation dramatically. And until we know all that, we won't speculate on the future or what the event looks like. I think the heartening thing for all of us today as Tasmanians and the tourism industry is that there are still 300 cars on the course enjoying the event. And the event has organically changed. And what better advertisement for that change? I've been saying it for years, that the event is changing anyway. Will this speed up the change? Well, only time will tell.
The Netflix crew that's with Targa this season, is that still continuing with the documentary, or what have they decided to do?
Yeah, they've met this morning, and it will definitely change the story. But you know, for those of you who've been around for a while, you'll remember Eric Banner made a movie on Targa, 15 years ago, and it was never meant to be about him crashing his car. But that's how it played out. They changed the story, and you'll see the same. And I think they'll show it in an empathetic way. They're working out how they work through that, given that the racing has now been cancelled, and they were primarily focused on that. But my understanding is they'll continue, and that documentary will be completed.
Can you say how many Targa Tasmanias this driver is competing in?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe it's 3, but probably don't quote me on that. And we've got 2 other events, as you all know. What I can say, he has competed in all the Targa events that we've run, given COVID as well, in the last 5 years.
And what's happening with the investigation today? What's the latest with that?
Well, it's still in the hands of the police, as they noted last night. Given how dark it was, they will go back to the site today and start their investigation, and it'll be in their hands until such time as they hand it over to us.
They indicated how long that might take.
They're hoping to complete that today to minimise the road closure. That'll be a little bit weather related. But that is their plan, that they'll have that completed today. They've got a list of things to do for the coroner. We probably won't see that for some time. And then, ourselves and the sport, Motorsport Australia, will complete our own investigations internally after that.
What sort of offerings have you given to the family that are still in Queensland? Have you offered them to come down, or?
Yeah, the immediate family some are already here. Others are arriving this afternoon, so we're supporting them through our chaplaincy to make all that happen. Clearly you want your family close, and they are arriving. The key direct members of the family will all be here by tonight, I believe.
Were some of them already here?
I don't believe so, no.
You've made so many changes to the event to make it safer, stating the obvious, but it's obviously a crushing blow.
Yeah, I'm not going to hide away from how you can see it on my face, how crushing it is for us. I've been around this for a long time, and it was very emotional for me this morning to talk to the cancellation and try and explain why and the reasons behind it. It's very emotional. I can openly and honestly say Targa runs through my blood. I've been around this thing for a long time, and I've been in this job for a long time. This is a devastating blow for everyone, all of us, from the Dutton Group who own the business these days, to everybody at Motorsport Australia, all our officials, and there's only so many people I can reach, but we've got more than 500 officials out in the course this morning, still going to work, all volunteers, all doing it for nothing, still making sure people have a great time. So it'll really hit home next week. We're still planning on having the finish in Hobart. We're still planning to keep our chins up, and we just really have to keep our chins up it's still a great event for Tasmania for the next few days. And there'll still be plenty of money spent, and we wanted to make sure that, particularly out on the West Coast, that all the hotels and the restaurants and all that get booked, Cradle Mountain, all get their piece of the pie and not impacted by this. And post-event we'll analyse it, but yeah, I won't shy away from it. It's shattering for us.
You said last night that you would have discussions late into the evening. What time did you make the decision?
It was very late. The final decision came about 11:30, and we went through everything, and there were a lot of people in the call. I've joked this morning with many that I spent more time with the chairman of our board last night than I have in the last 3 years, and it was under very unusual circumstances. But it was a late night. It was about 2 a.m. before we sort of got it all wound up. But it was important that we got something out last night, so we had a plan for today.
What was the reaction from the competitive drivers or teams when you explained that that was their part of the Targa was cancelled?
Very supportive, incredibly supportive. In fact, given that a lot of them are very experienced, been around for a long time, and love Targa, and totally understand that at the moment when we've got not enough data to make a clear call on what happened yesterday, that in the interim, for the very least, we needed to cancel. And a lot of them have gone out on the tour, and they're people that would never go in a tour. They're racing car people, but they've got in their cars to support the event. And even Grant Denya's gone out today. High-profile people who love the event have all gone out today to still wave at the crowds that are out there, still go to lunch at St Helens, still support Targa, still show Targa for what it is. And that was heartening. Clearly, they're all racing car people. We had a concern about what their support was, but I can say we were very surprised and pleasantly surprised and quite heartened by their level of support.
Do you have any update on the navigator who was taken to hospital?
Nothing beyond last night, that her injuries were minor, and they were endeavouring to release her today. They haven't released her as yet, but my latest word was they were still endeavouring to have her out of hospital today, more around when her family arrives.
Do you know what the nature of the injuries were?
No, I can't. I don't know the nature, sorry.
Thanks, everybody.